Hey guys, I'm here with your NFL Week 3 recap. Just wanted to say that this weekend in football was crazy. I did my Week 3 predictions last week. If you didn't catch those, you can check out the video below. But I only predicted 7 out of the 16 games correctly, which is horrible. But there were some crazy games this weekend. Before we get into the craziness of the football games this weekend, just wanted to touch on what happened as the football teams united as players, coaches, owners on the fields before the games, during the national anthem, before the national anthem, in response to some not so kind remarks from our president. It was just beautiful seeing all these players and their coaches and the team owners come together as a sign of like a peaceful protest. And I think that it was just an awesome act of unity on the NFL's part and on the players as well. So getting right into our games, we'll start with the Thursday night game, which was the Rams versus the 49ers. This was a really good Thursday night game. Usually people like to talk about Thursday night games as not being that exciting, but this was a good one. Jared Goff and Brian Hoyer, for as a surprise, had a really great game. Both defenses had their highlights. Both team running backs, Carlos Hyde for the 49ers and Todd Gurley for the Rams, both had 2 touchdowns apiece, so they had pretty decent games as well. Sammy Watkins as a wide receiver for the Rams had a great game as well. Unfortunately, he had to leave due to a possible concussion during the game. But the Rams ended up winning. They beat the 49ers 41-39 Thursday night. And then we had the Ravens versus the Jags, who played Sunday morning over in London. And I don't know what happened with Joe Flacco. I don't know if he was like jet lagged, but the whole Ravens team looked crazy, and they got beat really bad by the Jags. They got beat 44-7, which was a total surprise based on how they played last week and based on what the Jags looked like last week. But the Jaguars ended up having a great game over the Ravens in London this Sunday. Up next, I have the Broncos versus the Bills. We thought that after the Broncos had a great game last week, they were going to come in and have another great game against, like, it's the Bills. But no, the Bills ended up beating the Broncos 26-16 in Buffalo. I don't know where Trevor Siemian was this game. Not real sure what happened to C.J. Anderson, but I know they both made fantasy owners mad this week because they didn't put the points up, not nearly as close to what they did last week. But yeah, the Bills ended up winning at home. Up next, I have the Steelers versus the Bears. They played in Chicago. This was a really exciting game. It went into overtime, and it ended with Jordan Howard, the running back for the Chicago Bears, running a touchdown in overtime. So the Bears ended up taking the win over the Steelers, 23-17. Up next, I have the Saints and the Panthers, which was another surprising game because we saw the Saints last week. We saw the Panthers the past few weeks, and they're playing at home, but the Saints ended up beating the Panthers 34-13. I'm not sure what's going on with Cam Newton. I'm not sure if his struggle is coming from injuries or if it's coming from the fact that he's missing 2 of his biggest receivers in Greg Olsen and Kelvin Benjamin, but he's just not playing really well so far this season. So there's a loss for the Panthers. Up next, I had the Vikings versus the Bucks. I thought the Buccaneers were going to come in and win this game in Minnesota, but they did not. Without Sam Bradford, Case Keenum really came through and threw for 3 touchdowns. Like, that's the fantasy sleeper player right there. No one saw Case Keenum coming in to come throw 3 touchdowns in this game. So they ended up winning 34-17 over the Buccaneers. Jameis Winston still having his Jameis Winston moments where he'll throw some great passes, throw some touchdowns, but he'll also throw for 3 interceptions, which ultimately I believe is why they ended up losing the game. Up next, I had the Colts versus the Browns. When I predicted this game, I thought it was going to be close. I thought the Browns could have pulled out the win. They almost did, but the Colts ended up winning over the Browns 31-28. There's still no timetable on Andrew Luck, and looks like Jacoby Brissett will be the quarterback for a while because I don't think I know Andrew Luck's not playing this Sunday either. Up next, I had the Dolphins versus the Jets. Who saw this one coming? The Jets ended up beating the Dolphins 20-6. They really, I guess, were feeling some type of way after Marshawn Lynch did the whole hypey dance on the sideline last game. Really struck a nerve with them because they came out playing. And the Miami offense, I mean, you get Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler shows you Jay Cutler. So I don't know if Miami thought he was going to be better, but he is showing you who he really is. And the Jets ended up winning the game 20-6. Up next, I had the Texans versus the Patriots, which was a really exciting game in Foxborough. What a game for Deshaun Watson, who's a rookie out there beating the GOAT up into the last minute in the fourth quarter. It was a really good game to watch, but Tom Brady, of course, comes through being Tom Brady and throws a touchdown to Brandon Cooks in the last minute of the fourth, giving the Patriots the win 36-33 over the Texans. But the Texans fought hard, and it still looks like the Patriots' defense is an area of concern for them in the future. Up next, I had the Falcons versus the Lions. I thought that the Lions were going to pull out this game. They almost did. There was a controversial call, Golden Tate, at the very end of the game, where it looked like he went in for the touchdown, but his knee hit the ground right before he crossed the end zone. So the Falcons ended up getting the win 30-26 over the Lions, and just wanted to make a statement about that Falcons defense. They really shut down that Lions offense. So shout out to the Falcons defense this past weekend. Up next, I had the Giants versus Eagles, which was a really good game as well, and it went into overtime. It ended with the Eagles field goal kicker kicking a 61-yard field goal and giving the Eagles the win over the Giants 27-24. But Eli Manning, OBJ, was back. Definitely looked like he was starting to click with his offense, so hopefully that will continue for the Giants as they continue in the rest of the season. But just an upsetting loss to the Eagles. And moving on to the Seahawks versus the Titans. The Titans played at home. One good thing about this game is Russell Wilson is finally starting to find a rhythm with his offense. They found the end zone, and they scored 27 points, but the Titans ended up getting the win 33-27 over the Seahawks. And just wanted to mention DeMarco Murray, who I was starting in my fantasy lineup for the first 2 weeks, and he didn't do anything, decided to have over 100-yard rushing this game and also made it to the end zone. So for you fantasy players, if you dropped DeMarco Murray, you might want to just pick him back up and leave him on the bench, because it looks like he still has some gas in the tank. Then I have the Bengals versus the Packers game. The Bengals have a new offensive coordinator, with Bill Lazor, and it definitely showed in the offensive play. They finally found the end zone for the first time this season, and it almost looked like they were going to take the win in the game, but they were playing Aaron Rodgers on Lambeau Field in Green Bay. So, Aaron Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers-like things, and they ended up getting the win in overtime, 27-24 over the Bengals. So for the Sunday night game, you had the Raiders versus the Redskins. Both teams had really nice games last Sunday, so I was really excited to see this game in D.C. Unfortunately, the Oakland offense did nothing. Michael Crabtree, not sure where he was. Amari Cooper, not sure where he was. Marshawn Lynch was held to under 20 rushing yards. So the Redskins defense definitely shut down that the Oakland offense. They even gave Derek Carr 2 interceptions in the first half, and he hadn't had any interceptions so far this season. So that was kind of upsetting to watch for Oakland. And it looks like for Oakland, their defense, especially their secondary, is going to be a problem for them in the future, because they just could not stop Kirk Cousins in this offense. So the Raiders ended up getting the win over the Redskins. The Redskins ended up getting the win over the Raiders 27-10 Sunday night. And then last night we had our Monday night game, which was the Cowboys versus the Cardinals in Arizona. The Cowboys were looking to have a better game than they did last Sunday, and they did. They ended up getting the win over the Cardinals 28-17. Carson Palmer is definitely missing David Johnson in their running game, because they are depending on his passing game. He threw for 325 yards, and Larry Fitzgerald ended up having a really good game with 149 reception yards and a touchdown. So if you started him in fantasy, great start. So that is it for my Week 3 recap. I will see you guys in a few days with my Week 4 predictions. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure you stay on top of all my updates and all my videos that I release from week to week. And also check out my site, gknowsfootball.com, for everything football. And for my ladies who want to know any of the ins and outs of football, you can ask your questions there. See you guys in a few days. Bye.